This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem. Good morning everyone. I hope everybody's having a great day. We're continuing in Mishna Berura Daf Hashavua. We're up to Siman Vav, Din Berkas Asher Yatzar Ve'Elokai Neshama U'Ferushav. The halacha of Asher Yatzar, Elokai Neshama, and its meaning. Now this is very interesting because the Shulchan Aruch is not a sefer on Be'er Tefillah. Shulchan Aruch is a sefer halacha. He's not here to tell you the perush of the tefillos. He doesn't tell you the perush of the brachos. Interestingly, here the kaiseres of the Seif, of the Siman, is the perush of the bracha. So let's see. Siman Seif Aleph. When you come out of the bathroom, Yivarach Asher Yatzar Sadam B'Chachma. You make a bracha that God created man with wisdom. Shebrias ha'adam hi b'chachma nefla. The creation of man was with wondrous wisdom. Asher yatzar sa'adam b'chachma. In other words, why do we say b'chachma? What does b'chachma have to do with going to the bathroom? So, nevertheless, the Mechaber says that the brias ha'adam were in wondrous chachma. V'yesh mefarshim al shem shehaguf doimel lanoid malei ruach v'hu malei nekavim. Some explain because the body is like a sack, is like a canteen, which is full of wind and spirit, and the person is full of holes. Kilakaman b'samach. So it's a wonder. You know, you have a balloon; it's full of air. If you make a hole in the balloon completely deflates, and yet man is full of ruach, and the ruach does not escape the nekavim. V'yesh mefarshim b'chachma shehiskin mizaynos v'shadam rishon v'achrach b'rai. The wisdom of creation of man is first God created man's food, and then God created man. So three pshatim in b'chachma. Either the overall creation of man was in tremendous wisdom, or the body is full of ruach, and the ruach doesn't escape, or God created man's food, and then He created him. And the Mechaber continues, Uvaravai nekavim nekavim chalulim chalim. He created in him holes and cavities. Perush, nekavim rabim kagoin peh, v'choitem, v'tabas. God created the mouth, the nose, the anus. V'gam barabai evarim rabim chalulim. He also created many limbs that are cavities. Kamay lev, v'kares, me'ayim. The heart, the stomach, the intestines. She'em yisaseim echad mehem. So first it said nikavim, and then it says chalulim. And according to Mechaber, the girsa is she'im yisasem echad mehem first. Koloimar, which is yisasem? The nikavim. So nikavim, chalulim, chalim. She'im yisasem is going on the nikavim. Koloimar she'ba nikavim yesh nekav echad shehu hapeh. So here's the question. The question is, what do you mean she'im yisasim echad mehem yefshar l'hiskayim, that if God would seal one of them we couldn't exist? Not true. There are many people, they could close their mouth, obviously not for too long. Most people have a hard time closing their mouth for too long, but you could close your mouth and nothing happens. So what does it mean yefshar l'hiskayim? So the answer is klamish yesh nekav echad shehu hapeh she'keshehu b'mei imay. The truth is, yeah, you could keep your mouth closed, but there is a certain circumstance that it's very difficult, that when you're in your mother's womb, the mouth is sealed, and when a person comes out, hu niftach, it's opened, if when a person comes out into this world, the mouth will remain closed. It would be impossible to exist even for one moment. In other words, yes, it is possible to keep the mouth closed, but there's a certain juncture of time that at that juncture you need to have the mouth open, and if the mouth would not be open, a person could not exist. And the cavities, Im haya niftach echad mehem, if one of them would be open, lo haya efshar l'skayim afilu shah echas, it would be impossible to exist even for one moment. So the nikavim, it's referring to the mouth at the moment of birth, and the chalulim, if a person has a blockage in any of these limbs, a person, chas v'shalom, their kidneys are blocked, it could be so painful that a person can't even exist for a moment. Let's see the Mishnah Berura. Chalulim, Perush Evarim Chalulim. Limbs that are hollow. V'lo yomer chalolim, de b'cholol l'shayach bria. Chalolim, either a corpse or an empty space. That's not the reference over here, but rather it means a cavity. A limb that has that is somewhat empty on the inside. She'im yisasem keni girsas harambam. The Mechaber is going with the Girsa Rambam. Girsa Shalanu, Varashi, Varif, Varash is imi paseach koidim. Our Girsa is like the other Rishonim. First we say she'imi paseach and then o yisasem. Koloimar shebanekavim. Now, this is very interesting. This is a case where Nusach Svard has sort of taken over, and even people who daven Nusach Ashkenaz, they unknowingly allow themselves to be affected. But the Mechaber has a kasha. His kasha is, what do you mean, Ef Shalis Kayim Afilu Shah Echas? And the Mechaber has a kasha. People could keep their mouth closed. Watch. Oh, we did it. So he's bothered by a kasha. What do you mean it's impossible to exist even for one moment? But the whole kasha is based on the Mechaber's girsa that he says afilu shah echas. But our minhag is not to say the words afilu shah echas. The Mechaber is going with the girsa of the Rambam. Look in the Mishnah Berura. Mishum the Gersa Sayhaya Ev Shal Skema Fil Shachas V'Kashal is bothered by a kasha. The Adam says person could keep their mouth closed for many hours. V'Za Omar Kaloimar. Therefore, the Mechaber says Kaloimar. There is a sefer Kol Kaloimar's Shabarashi. There's a sefer on Nadarim. I don't remember at the moment if it's Yadois Nadarim or Parashas Nadarim, where the Ran very often says the word Kaloimar. But there's a yisoid in learning that whenever Rashi says the word Kaloimar, Rashi is bothered by a kasha. The kasha is, the simple reading of it is not clear. And Rashi answers, Kaloimar, no, it really means to say something else. So what the Mechaber is saying, Kaloimar, you know what it means? Afilu sha'achas, it means at the moment of birth. Our minhag, meaning A, Nusach Ashkenaz, B, Ashkenazim, in general, is to say Shaloi loymar afilu shachas k'mesh goes Rambam v'chein muchaba aguda kein kaz magavram v'chein masher abra v'ayin taz. So the Mishnah Berura's recommendation is not to say the words afilu shachas. For Sfardim, you could say afilu shachas. Maybe Nusach Svard says it, I'm not sure. But Mishnah Berura says Minhag Ashkenaz is not to say the words Afilu Shachas. I personally do not say the words Afilu Shachas. Now, how do you say Ef Shar? A is, the Mishnah Berura says something very interesting. A B'Tseirai, not Ef Shar, Ef Shar. With Tachas Aleph. Ki Amila Nigzes Min Ayin. The word E, what does the word E mean? E means it's not. So the Ber Heitev says it should be pronounced E'ef Shar. Kein Kasva Ber Heitev Primagadim. But the Shar Tshuva is Meyashev, the Girsa Bechiruk, Shagam Ken Kavanasa Kamay Ayin, Kamay Dechsev E Kavoid, E, which Rashi says, Shapirish Rashi Shem Shakavanasa Kamay Ein Kavoid. So here's an example where the Mishnah Berura seems to be saying the pronunciation of choice is E'ef Shar, but he does quote the Shar Tshuva that Farenfers that explains our minhag. I do believe almost all Sidurim have E'ef Shar. Okay, let us proceed. Void yesh lefarish in the Mechaber. What does it mean we cannot exist even for one moment? In other words, there is a certain threshold that a person could keep their mouth closed for a minute, for an hour, for 3 hours. The moment, if you go a moment beyond, person couldn't exist. Once you pass that border, now, what's this got to do? I'm not making a bracha because I opened my mouth. I'm making a bracha of going to the bathroom. The answer is v'kivan shebechlal hanekavim heim pi hatavas u'pi ha'ama. Since included in the nekavim are the holes from which we excrete, either gedolim or ketanim. Uvechlal eivar machalulim. And why are we talking about organs? Because included in the organs that we're referring to, shem yipaseach echamen, that if one of them were to be opened, iyavshar l'skayim heim keres u'meyayim would be the stomach or the intestines. Shapir hava shevach zeh me'inyan asiyas tzrachav. Then, certainly, this praise would be connected to going to the bathroom. In other words, there are holes that we need to be able to go to the bathroom, and there are organs that are needed to be able to likewise excrete. Now, the efsheroid. So far, 2 perushim in afilu shayachas. Number 1, the mouth when you're born. Now, it's interesting. Why can't a baby close his mouth for 30 seconds when he's born? What would happen? Now, the baby has to cry. Part of the baby crying, it seals shut certain holes in the heart. Maybe that's what the Mechaber is referring to. The second shot is afilu shachas, beyond the threshold. And here's another perush. The efsheroid shemei achar shem yoytse linakavav b'yoyser ad shem avar hagvul yamos b'chlal she'im yipaseach echad mehemhu. It could be that since if a person would go to the bathroom too forcefully, that if he would pass the boundary, he would die. So that's included in im yipaseach echad mehem. V'havesh im yipaseach echad mehem nami me'inyan asiyas tzrachav mamish. So Imi paseach is not just referring to an organ, but rather it's referring to the going to the bathroom. That if it would be excessive or too forceful, a person would not be able to exist. So this is included in going to the bathroom. Roife choyli chalbasar. So this is an interesting pronunciation. Roife choyli chalbasar. Alshem hanekavim shabarabai. This is what is the refuah over here? The holes that Hashem created l'hoitzi psaris machalai, to remove the refuse of his food. Ki im yisapesh babeten yamos. If it would be allowed to rot in his stomach, the person would die. V'hoitzasa refuah, and being able to remove it is a remedy and a healing. In other words, what's roife chalbasar? Well, the person's not taking medicine when he goes to the bathroom. How's going to the bathroom refuah? The answer is because the food would stay inside and rot. It would cause illness. So roife choyli chalbasar. Says Berura, roife choyli bachu shlam atamash kasu shein lamer choyli rak roife chalbasar. So the achronim say not to say it. The Taz kasa the shnegos Hagar says henachoynois. The Taz says both texts are authentic. V'chalil limchag achas mehem. Heaven forbid to erase any of them. Ayin sham. Okay, Rabbi, so we're going to hold it over here for today. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Bracha v'atzlacha. Have a great day. Kol tov.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.